Hello, hello, thank you for stopping by the channel. Today I'm looking at Rolling Thunder for the NES. Rolling Thunder was originally released by Namco back in 1986, and it was also released as one of those unlicensed Tengen carts for the NES back in 1989. I love the way these Tengen carts look. It's just different enough, it's a different shape, it's a different color, I love it. This was when Tengen was releasing games and they didn't want to pay Nintendo licensing fees to make official cartridges. I don't know the specifics of the situation and litigation, but my understanding is that back in the day, Nintendo was really good at flexing its muscles in this particular area, and they charged companies a lot of money to put out carts for the system. Some people say they did this to try to keep a stranglehold on the industry. The Atari 2600 had crashed a couple years before, and supposedly this was there to make sure that the market wasn't quite flooded and destroyed, but who knows. I think long-term this Tengen thing actually probably helped curb licensing fees. I used to love playing this game in the arcade in particular. I remember dropping a quarter in and feeling pretty darn okay about the amount of time that I got to play. That was really the thing with me in arcades back then. How long does 1 quarter actually last in terms of gameplay? I always seem to do okay with this particular game. Here you're playing a super secret police agent that's fighting back against an evil enemy society. They're called the Rolling Thunder. So we're talking James Bond type of stuff, I guess. But you're supposed to be a cop of some sort. The type of cop, apparently, that never tries to arrest people, and instead just shoots at everything that moves. In this case, it's a bunch of guys with colored hoods. There are no negotiations going on here. This is pretty much just straight murder as soon as somebody comes into frame. But it's a run-and-gun arcade-style game. You're going to be jumping and dodging gunfire throughout the levels and just doing your best to shoot and survive. Along the way, you can pick up extra bullets, you can pick up extra time, a machine gun, and I'm pleased to say that there's a password system that will let you jump to certain levels in the game, which is always great. As far as recreating the arcade experience, I think this is actually pretty good as a port. The levels and the way the game looks and plays, it's pretty darn close to the arcade. I mean, it's certainly not as good as that original game, but the game looks and it feels really similar, so I think I'd have to say they did a really good job here. Overall, the game's about figuring out timing of bullets and where things are on the different levels just to make sure you survive. Some enemies take 2 shots, some shoot back, others toss explosives. It's a decent mix of what you're up against, and it's all about you getting comfortable and memorizing all the different stages of the level to realize what you need to shoot, what you need to wait for, that sort of thing. There are going to be doors from time to time, and you can enter them as you walk by them. Some are going to give you ammunition, some are going to give you a machine gun, but some will also give you extra time you can use to beat a level. It's probably not worth looking inside all of the doors, to be honest, but you can use them also to hide from enemies, so sometimes it's just a benefit to have one. As far as the music goes, I think it's pretty good for an NES game. It's not exactly like the arcade game, but it does fit the Super Spy type of adventure we have here, and I think it gives a bit of excitement. It's not amazing, but it's far from bad. In this one you get, I believe it's 5 basic levels, and after you get through them, they repeat. The second time through, when you get to the end, there's a big end boss, and if you're quick enough to draw your gun and shoot his bullets, I guess, you can gun him down. I personally haven't gotten this far, but I did see a playthrough online where somebody beat him. Then I went and looked at the arcade version, and I saw a walkthrough on that, and I have to say, the NES boss looks much harder to defeat than the same boss in the arcade. You get a few continues with this game, and some of the levels do have checkpoints about midway through. As far as continues go, it's a little confusing because there's no meter on screen to tell you how many continues you actually have. Just eventually it stops letting you continue. In addition to the continues, there is a password system, so you're not going to be forced to completely run through the whole game over and over again. You get a password every couple of levels, I think it's every 3, and I have to say, this goes a long way for me not getting frustrated with this game. If there were no passwords, and we had these limited continues, I don't think this game would have as much appeal. It would certainly be easier to put down. Overall, I'm impressed with this particular port. It's certainly not a perfect match to the arcade, but it's one of those games that when you play, you're not wondering where the connection to the arcade is. You know what it is. It's really solid in this regard. It's also not that expensive a cartridge, so that's great. I think this is a great one to just pick up and play. Well, that's all I have today for Rolling Thunder for the NES. If this is your type of video, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff, and thanks for stopping by to take a look. Hope you thought it was interesting. Maybe I'll catch you on another video.